Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troll.
(1973 to 1976). Welcome back, baseball fans. The 1973-76 Carryover League. Another best-of-7 series in American League East today. Toronto Blue Jays and the Baltimore Orioles. Interesting tale of two teams. Toronto, of course, does not exist until 1977, so we put together a pre-expansion team, if you want to call it that, for them, and it's a good one. It's been a good one for several years now. Better than the Blue Jays would have access to when they start their franchise in 77. So that's the benefit of the Carryover League, I suppose. Baltimore started out as the most toured team in the American League East through the first 3 series that they played. But we'll show you what's taking place. Game 1 opens up in Toronto. Jim Palmer, Carl Morton for the Blue Jays. We're scoreless until the 6th inning. You get an Ed Kranepool double. After a couple outs, Palmer walks former Oriole Rich Coggins. Then you get RBI singles by Tim Foley and Gary Sutherland. It's 2-0 Toronto. Baltimore responds in the top of the 7th. You get a single by Blair, an RBI single, a single by Singleton, a single by Blair, who steals second. So they're second and third. You get a sac fly by Earl Williams. But Toronto uses a bullpen by committee in this one. Tom Underwood got 2 outs in the 7th. Bob Miller went an inning and a third. Eddie Bain faced a batter in 9th, and Sos, the closer, got the final 2 outs. To hold on by their fingernails, Toronto beats Jim Palmer 2-1. Palmer was very good. 9 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a losing cause. Okay. Well, Toronto wins the game. That's nice. It's 2-1. But we got some history coming up here, folks, in game number 2. It's Mike Cuellar versus Bird Happy, Super Happy Hooten. Toronto has their day with Cuellar and the bullpen. After a couple outs in the 2nd inning, Bobby Grich makes an uncharacteristic error, which opens up an RBI double, a single, RBI single, 2 unearned runs. In the 4th inning, the bottom of the Toronto lineup again, a single, a double, and then Milt May with a 2-run triple. Then in the 5th, Cuellar gives off a leadoff triple to Mike Lum, an RBI single, Cleon Jones. Former Mets, former Orioles on Toronto. 6th inning, a single. You like triples? Well, Carl Taylor got one. Cuellar leaves after 6 innings, 14 hits, 7 runs, 5 earned. Eddie Watt, Tippy Martinez mop up. It's 9 runs, but the story is on the other side. And it's the story in the 2nd inning. Kenny Singleton walks but doesn't score. In the 5th inning, Baltimore has their best threat. It's a walk, fielder's choice, a walk, a pop out, and then with 2 outs, a ground ball to third baseman Dave McKay. He kicks it for an error. Bases loaded, 2 outs, fly ball to center field. They get a Ken Singleton walk in the 6th, and he doesn't score. 3 up and 3 down in the 7th. They don't have a hit. And the final 6 outs, fly ball to center, ground ball to third, a walk to Bobby Grich, and a strikeout to Lee May. They're on their feet in Toronto. In the 9th inning, a strikeout to Ken Singleton, a strikeout to Earl Williams, and Paul Blair fouls out to the catcher to end the game. Bird Happy Hooten with a no-no. A no-hitter for Bird Hooten. No hitting up until this point. The best team in the American League, record-wise at least. Baltimore. He did walk 5. There was an error in there, so he's 6 over the minimum. No double plays. Complete game. No, Bert Hooten, first no this year. Last no that I remember having was Bob Gibson, which I think was 2 years ago. I think I've had about, maybe I've gotten up to 10 in my lifetime. Somewhere between 6 and 10 no-hitters. Never had a perfect game, of course. And there it is, folks. Shame it wasn't broadcasted. I did get one of these broadcasted, and it was the Bob Gibson no-hitter. It's a Cardinals versus Astros broadcast of several years ago. In the Astrodome, Bob Gibson no-hit Houston. That is on YouTube. Otherwise, none of the other ones are. Toronto's up 2-0. So you're thinking when Baltimore gets home, they are going to fix this leaky ship suddenly. Well, interesting. Game 3. It is Clyde Wright for the Blue Jays and Wayne Garland for Baltimore. Brooks Robinson, homer in the first inning, 1-zip. But in the second inning, Toronto's bats are on fire still. Doubles by Rich Coggins, Ron Woods, and Darrell Chaney. It's 2-1. You get a Belanger triple, RBI single to Sensei. It's 2-2. A huge fourth inning off of Garland, which chases him. These Blue Jays, made up of guys you may have never heard of. Maybe you see an all-star. Certainly not a Hall of Famer in there. You get single, walk, homer, Milt May, double, single, double. Garland's gone. It's 8-2. Baltimore's in a huge bunch of trouble. But they rally in the bottom of the fourth. A couple singles. Bobby Grich, 3-run homer. It's 8-5. Toronto gets really sloppy defensively in the fifth. You get a double, RBI single to Sensei's, error on third baseman Chaney, a single, error on second baseman Sutherland. It's an 8-8 tie. So this is that moment where Baltimore could seize momentum and make the corrections for the first 2 game losses. Both teams scoreless in the 6th and 7th, and in the 8th inning, they get to Eddie Watt. Normally reliable Eddie Watt gets up a triple to Carl Taylor, RBI single to Milt May, a single walk. They bring in Grant Jackson, normally reserved for the 9th inning. You bring him in the 8th inning because they don't want to go down 0-3 in this series. Doesn't matter. They get a single and a sac fly. It's 11-8. And Toronto, after pulling Clyde right after 5, bullpen by committee works again. Bob Miller, 2 scoreless innings. He gets the win. Underwood pitches a 3-up and 3-down 8th, and Elias Sosa a 3-up and 3-down 9th. A bunch of no-name Blue Jays are suddenly stunning the baseball world again, and this is not the first time. If you've been following the channel, Toronto's had playoff runs with finding guys off the scrap heap. They are the most resilient bunch of strat cards you've ever assembled, as far as I can, just off the top of my head, without doing a deeper dive. Let's look at the standings now, and you'll see that the American League is suddenly up, completely up for grabs. There is nothing exciting happening. Out west, Oakland is stumbled, but it might not be a big deal because no one else seems interested besides Texas. Very competitive Midwest. Everybody is playing about the same. And they're all playing even better than that in the North. All 3 10-win teams. And Baltimore's just fallen to ground a little bit. They're now 8-5. They're still playing 6-15 ball, but they're half game behind. You guessed it. Your Toronto Blue Jays, 4 over 500, tied with the Expos. A little bit of Canadian payback here, as the best teams in the American League are 4 and 4 games over 500 in what is turned into an up-for-grabs American League. National League's not certainly up for grabs. Giants, Reds, Pirates, Phillies, all playing dominant baseball. We got a Game 4 in Baltimore today. Never thought I'd have to broadcast a Game 4 elimination for Baltimore at home, but I am. Talk about revenge served cold. Toronto will send Doyle Alexander out there, another former Baltimore player. 13-game winner in 76 with a 3.36 ERA and 201 innings split between the Yankees and Orioles. And Baltimore goes to their ace, Jim Palmer. He pitched Game 1. He pitched outstanding. Lost a 2-1 game. hoping for better luck today. Cy Young winner in 75, 23 wins, a 2.09 ERA. Actually upgraded Cy Young cards in the offseason. We took out the 73 Cy Young card and gave him a 3-year contract with a 75 Cy Young card for Jim Palmer. Game 4 in Baltimore. Here we go. Leading off for Toronto, it's Milt May. 57 is a strikeout. Toronto's using the same lineup they used yesterday. Why not? Baltimore shuffle things. Ed Kranepool, 111, lines the first. Jerry Hairston, 32, rolls the first. Bottom of the first, now Bobby Grich is leading off. 38 is a K. Bill Sharp, free agent signed in the offseason. 3.6, flies to center. Known more for defense, as Baltimore likes their defense. And batting third, the DH, Al Bumbry, because of his lusty batting average. 43, first X. Kranepool's a 3-3 at first. Makes the play. Top of the second inning, it's Mike Lum, former All-Star. 2-6, grounds the first. He has been Toronto's best player over the last 3 years. Collectively. Rich Coggins, former Baltimore, runner-up to Al Bumbry. Both these cards are in the same year in the Rookie of the Year category of 73. Coggins, 56, flies to right. Ron Woods, 2.9, base hit. Plus 2-arm catcher Johnny Edwards. Woods is going to attempt a steal, and he's thrown out on a 20. All right, it's Ken Singleton. 1.7's a K. Lee May, 53, roller to the mound. And Paul Blair, 2.9's strikeout. We go to the third. Tim Foley, 1.9. That's going to be a base hit. Gary Sutherland will try a hit and run. And it works to perfection. And Toronto gets these so frequently. They love to do that. They game the system. Try and benefit from bunting, hitting and running, stealing bases, anything to, they just don't have enough hits on their cards otherwise. So they get the hit. There are runners in the corners for Cheney. And actually, there's quite a few ground ball Bs on the cards. They're going to bring the infield up. 66 is popped to short. Back up top to Milt May. They're going to play it back for a double play here. 110 doesn't matter. Milt May is a single to center field. That'll score a run. Sutherland will hold at second against the Blair arm. First and second, 1-0. Ed Kranepool, 34. That's a 3-6-3 double play. But Toronto leads 1-0. John Edwards, acquired in the offseason along with Lee May from Houston. 2-8, double 1-2, base hit. Mark Belanger with his highest average in the 70s. 2-8 is a 6-4-3 double play. And Brooks Robinson batting ninth versus righties, which is good for Baltimore. That means they have some nice bats on this team, on a team that notoriously never did, or started to swoon terribly in the early mid-70s with the batting average. Brooksy 2-5 grounds the third. We go to the fourth. It's Jerry Hairston, 310 flies to right. Jerry Hairtown. Mike Lum, 65, center. Rich Coggins, 1-7, rolls a third. When we get some reasonable offense, folks, we'll start showing you some cards. Baltimore, looks like they're getting no hit again, or one hit. Bobby Grich, 5-10. Not anymore. Bobby Grich, 5-10. Homer, 1-7, double off Alexander. Cannot get it over the fence. It's a two-base hit. Bill Sharp, 1-6, flies to right. Al Bumbry. Let's take a look at a card. Al Bumbry, his 1973. Rookie of the Year, 337 average. Highest average for Baltimore. Really crushes righties. Defense is not there yet. Eventually that will come. Probably could be a leadoff hitter, but Baltimore's so starved for offense. They need the hits more than the stolen bases, or the hitting more than the stolen bases, so he's batting third today. 1-8 is your base hit to left field. Grich, 15 runner against the Coggins arm. He's going to run, and he scores on a 4. So they score a run off their old player in left field. Now with 1 out, does Bunbury want to steal off of Milt May? Ken Singleton walks a ton, so let's just let's see what happens here with Ken Singleton. 66, he lines to short. Now let's attempt to get in the scoring position for Lee May with a stolen base. He steals on a 4. So, Bunbury's at second with a stolen base with 2 outs, and here is Lee May. 62, second X. And this is Sutherland to 326, but he makes the play. I mean, Toronto's defense is okay in spots, but otherwise pretty mediocre. Baltimore boasts this stellar defense of 1s at second, third, and short. Gritch, Brooks Robinson, and Mark Belanger. 1-1 to the 5th we go. Ron Woods. 1-8 rolls a short. Tim Foley, 39. Short. And Sutherland, 2-9, rolls to short. Belanger gets all the action for Palmer in the 5th. Bottom half of. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Baltimore needs to get something going. Haven't had the lead very often either in the whole series. It's a big problem. Paul Blair leads off in the 5th. 3-6, rolls short. Johnny Edwards, 57, flies to right. Mark Belanger, 34, grounds are short. Well, we go to the 6th. It's 1-1. Same number of base runners for each team. Darrell Cheney, 36, is a strikeout. Milt May, 2-8, rolls first. And Ed Cranepool, 2-7, he also rolls the first. Palmer having another nice start to his Cy Young career. Brooks Robinson leading off, 53, rolls to the mound. Alexander matching Palmer to this point. Bobby Gritch, 2-7's a strikeout. And Bill Sharp, 4-12, flies to right. This is your kind of what you'd expect from a Baltimore game. Briskly moving along. We go to the 7th. It's Jerry Hairston. 2-5, flies to center. Mike Lum, 69 off Palmer, flies to center. And with 2 outs, Rich Coggins. Let's take a look at Rich. So, yeah, this is the... Baltimore had Bunbury and Coggins in 73. It's not a little either. It's a lot. It's 400. I'm looking at Bunbury now. 440 plate appearances, and Coggins about the same. 430 plate appearances. So as far as Strat goes, I mean, if you actually just play Baltimore's 73 set, they're probably going to out-hit the Oakland A's and probably be the best team in the American League. I'm just throwing it out there if you get the 1973 set. If you use Coggins and Bunbury as 2 of the best hitters in the American League, and you get to the Oakland-Baltimore ALCS. In any event, 4-8 off of Palmer is a strikeout. Jim Palmer. 3 singles in the 3rd inning, nothing much else. Stretch time in Baltimore, a 1-1 tie. We are enjoying listening to Crack the Sky, live at the Warner Theater, which I believe is in Washington, D.C. Crack the Sky often played on the radio in Maryland, Pennsylvania, in this era of the 70s. I think they were from New York originally, maybe. They frequented Maryland. And, often played on the rock stations. Hold On, Nuclear Apathy was a good one. Ice, She's a Dancer, all live stuff here. Back to the game, bottom of the 7th. Doyle Alexander, can he continue keeping up with Jim Palmer? It'll be Al Bunbury leading off. He had the RBI single and stolen base in the 4th. 2-9, grounds are short. Ken Singleton, 57, flies to right. And with 2 outs, it's Lee May. 57 flies to center. We go to the 8th. Completely matching the numbers here. You see the patterns? Each pitcher has gotten 11 or 12 in a row out, going all the way back to the 4th inning. Kind of a combined no-hitter for the two. In the 8th, it's Ron Woods. 2-7 is single 1, line out. Tim Foley, 57's a K. Gary Sutherland, 43. Left X, your left fielder. Bill Sharp's a 2E5. He makes the catch. Palmer can go 10. Only invite starter 9s into the 10th inning. Alexander's a starter 7. He's going to continue his attempt of matching Palmer here in the bottom of the 8th. It's Paul Blair. 3-11 pops to first. John Edwards. 35 grounds to first. And Belanger, 36, is a walk. Do you attempt a steal here? Sure, let's try a stolen base with Belanger. He's in there on a 4. Now you got Brooks Robinson with the lead run at second and 2 outs. Brooksy much better against lefties and righties. He's going to swing away here. Here's the pitch to Brooks. 47 off Alexander is short X. Now their defense isn't nearly as good, but Foley's decent. He's a 2E27 actually. And he makes the play. We go to the 9th. Palmer. It'll be Darrell Chaney. 68 lines the 3rd. Milt May. 56 flies to right. And Ed Cranepool, 48 is a strikeout. Bottom of the 9th. Alexander can go 9. That's all we can do for our starter 7s. He's going to attempt, see what we can do here. He's earned the right to compete for a win. Maybe they can walk off one in the 10th inning. Bobby Grich, 59. 59 off of Alexander. Triple 1-2 is a base hit for the B Steeler. Now you're Bill Sharp. And you're a free agent. You don't want to screw this up, Bill. I think we're going to drop a bunt down. He's an A bunter. We got a 0-arm catcher, but Grich is just a B Steeler. Let's just drop the bunt down. Grich is a good base runner. It's a good bunt. So you've got the winning run at second base. And it's Al Bunbury. There's a mound visit, but I think you're running into trouble if you attempt to walk Bunbury, because Singleton walks right behind him. That would load the bases, and then all you need is, walk and air anything to lose the game. I think he's just going to battle him. They're going to instead of going bullpen by committee, they're going to say, this is Doyle's game. So Doyle Alexander has to get through the 9th inning here. Runner at second, 1 out, dealing with the best hitter on the team, one of the best hitters of 1973 in the American League, Al Bunbury. Here is the pitch. 56 is a fly ball to center field. And with 2 outs, it's Ken Singleton. Let's take a look at him. If you're wondering, the Expos and Orioles, they did the Dave McNally and Singleton trade a little sooner than they actually did, so that the Expos get a very nice Dave McNally card, but Baltimore gets a really nice Montreal Expo Ken Singleton card of 1973. 23 homers, a 302 average, and 123 walks. Makes you wonder why the Expos would have ever traded Singleton. Singleton will play another dozen years for the Orioles and go to a few World Series, winning one. Here's your pitch to Ken Singleton. 38, well, all predictable, ball 4. First and second, 2 outs, near the breaking point. Lee May is the batter. Let's take a look at him. So this is a Houston Lee May card of 73 with 28 home runs and a 270 average. Wouldn't quite reach those numbers when he's with Baltimore. You're starting to see why Baltimore is where Baltimore is. They're a pretty darn good team, probably better than the actual seasons that they would have in the mid-70s when they missed the playoffs in 75 and 6. 2 on, 2 outs. Here's the pitch to Lee May. 2-8, Lee May, double 1-3, single dot dot. Don't even have to run. It's going to be the single that scores Gritch to end the game. So with Paul Blair on deck, they pitched to Lee May, Doe Alexander. That would have been the breaking batter anyway had you given up a walk to him. But it's a walk-off. Sad loss for Doe Alexander, attempting the 4-game sweep of Baltimore. They came up a little short here. Baltimore wins 2-1. Fun game, though. Palmer and the Blue Jays have been involved in a couple of 2-1 games, one by each team. So at least those games were fun. The Hooten no-hitter was nice. Game 3, Baltimore made a comeback from 8-2 to go 8-8. So maybe these teams can both somehow make the playoffs this year because they seem to both be playing good baseball. All right, that's it for Game 4. Palmer with a complete game victory and a complete game defeat for Alexander. The Blue Jays have one more chance to close out the Orioles in Baltimore. In Game 5, Baltimore will have their worst pitcher, Rorik Harrison, a player that they dealt to Atlanta as part of the Davey Johnson trade, and here he's back. He'll be pitching Game 5, and then, he's going to have to go against Bert Hooten, coming back on short rest. So Baltimore could be in a little bit of trouble in a Game 5. If it goes back to Toronto, it will be Cuellar in 6 versus Carl Morton, and Jim Palmer would come back for a Game 7 against Clyde Wright. So we'll give you the box of this game when we come back after the break and the results of the rest of the series. All right, baseball fans, here's the box score of the game you just saw. Game 4, Baltimore wins 2-1, walking it off in the 9th. Palmer, complete game, 4 hits, a run allowed, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He's on a Cy Young trajectory. And Alexander pretty much matched him till the final play of the game. 8 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Complete game loss for Doe Alexander. So what does Baltimore do in a Game 5? This is going to be some clever managing here. Bert Hooten, Rorik Harrison. When have we seen Baltimore chasing the other team's starting pitcher so drastically? That's the case. Hooten just no-hit them, and he's the ace of Toronto, and you got your number 4 guy. So being behind the 8 ball, Earl Weaver has a plan. Let's get started. First inning, Ed Kranepool, solo homer off of Rorik Harrison, 1-0. But Baltimore, in the bottom half of the second, you get a single, stolen base, a sac fly. Brooks Robinson, it's 1-1. Stays that way to the 4th. And then Harrison walks Kranepool, a single to Hairston, a walk to Lum, bases loaded, nobody out, and you got the .319 hitting Rich Coggins up. Well, it's the early hook. That's the choice here. Baltimore's got a deep bullpen. They just had Jim Palmer throw a complete game yesterday. And Meg Cuellar is scheduled to pitch soon. Yeah, tomorrow, I believe. Yeah. So they pull Harrison really early, only giving up 1 run. Tippy Martinez, a lefty, to face Coggins. And Toronto says, you know what? We're going to go with Cleon Jones to pinch hit because he's an Oriole killer and he's a right-handed batter. And Tippy's bad against righties. And you got righty behind him. And the Baltimore's like, okay, whatever. So he gets Cleon to foul out. Then he strikes out Ron Woods. And then they pull Tippy. So Tippy faced 2 batters, struck out 1. They bring in Eddie Watt to extricate the 4th. Eddie Watt gets Tim Foley to fly out. Strand in 3. Big moment there. Eddie Watt gets the Orioles out of the 4th inning. Tim Foley strands 3 runners. The game continues this way into the 6th. And in a similar scenario for Eddie Watt this time, he loads the bases and he gets Tim Foley to strand them again with a ground out. Baltimore gets to Hooten finally for a second time here in the 6th, an RBI single by Lee May. It's 2-1. And in the 7th inning, they get another run off of Hooten when he hits his point of weakness. Allowing 3 runs in the 7th inning, Hooten has to leave after 6 2/3. Underwood comes in, but he walks Singleton. Singleton had 123 walks. He caught it on his own card, and he strikes out Lee May. But it's 3-1. They add a run on in the 8th. 4-1. Eddie Watt went 3 1/3 scoreless in the middle innings here. Grant Jackson pitched the 8th. Dyer Miller pitched the 9th. Baltimore's bullpen today. 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Yeah, I know it's against the Toronto Blue Jays, but you got to remember the Blue Jays have been on a roll. Baltimore gets the 4-1 victory. Eddie Watt gets the win. Dyer Miller gets the save. And Hooten, 6 2/3, 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, takes the defeat. So no knocking out the Orioles in their park. We have to go, as you can tell by the music, back to the Great White North for a Game 6. And in the Game 6, kind of a frustrating game, Mike Cuellar versus Carl Morton. In the top of the first, Grich doubles. Bill Sharp misses a single 1-18. In the second inning, Blair doubles. Johnny Edwards misses a single 1-17. But they still get the RBI single by Belanger to get a run. Toronto has runs in the first inning. A Woods single, then Ed Kranepool does a hit and run. He gets hits a hit and run single. Cleon Jones sac fly. RBI given without a hit. Second inning, a couple singles off the Cuellar card. Gary Sutherland double play, no RBI given. Third inning, Woods single, Ed Kranepool hit and run single again. He's 2 for 2, hitting and running. Double play, no RBI given. So runs produced without making a hit in those 3 occasions. Into the 7th inning, strong pitchers duel. John Edwards gets a homer, 3-2. Morton leaves after 8. Elias Sosa, can he close out the Orioles in the 9th? Indeed he does. 3 fly balls out of the outfield there. Toronto wins Game 6, 3-2. Using their own strategy in a different way than the Baltimore strategy of the previous game. This is all about hitting and running, which produced 2 runs in this case. Double plays. Hey, they're fine with double plays scoring runs. And frustrated Mike Cuellar lost another one to Toronto. 8 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Morton, 8 innings, 5 hits with a victory. Toronto wins the series 4-2. So let's take a look at stats and then the standings for the 2 squads. Look at the standings first, I guess. So Baltimore lost 4 games to 2. So now the lead in the East has shrunk to a half game. But they're back to playing that winning baseball that got them there in the first place by getting 2 wins while facing elimination. That's very important. 4-2 is much better than 4-0 in the case of the Orioles. So they're glad to win a couple games there. It didn't matter to them too much. They couldn't come back and win the whole series or force a Game 7. Let's look at some stats now. Baltimore is hitting .225. Ooh. They've had 230, 238 hitting seasons. And you saw those batting averages. It just seems like it doesn't matter what players the Orioles acquire. They hit below 250 all the time. Blander's 270, Bunbury 337, Lee May 270, Singleton 302. I mean, they got 300 hitters. It just doesn't translate. They have a 278 ERA. They've scored 55 runs in 16 games and given up 47 runs. Palmer's 4-1 with 5 complete games on a Cy Young trajectory. Did get that 1 loss in this series. Back into the bullpen, Grant Jackson's got 3 saves. Kind of a power outage. A couple guys have a couple. Nobody in double digits in RBI. Not much to report you could expect offensively for Baltimore. How about the Blue Jays? 12-9, your Blue Jays are hitting .291 with a 3.20 ERA. Let's see here. Hooten's 3-2 with 3 complete games, but the ERA is sparkling. Carl Morton, who won that final Game 6, is 3-0, pitching well. How about your closer, Elias Sosa? So, I mean, he's fine. I think he's got like a 3.47 ERA. Elias Sosa in 21 games thus far for the Blue Jays. He's 3-0 with 5 saves, 11 1/3 innings, 3 hits, no runs allowed. Eddie Bain, lefty setup guy, no runs allowed. Offensively, you got the 3 home runs for Milt May and 15 RBIs. Dark horse candidate to go to the All-Star game. 27 for 88. That's pretty good. Milt May's hitting 307. So with that, the league has played 255 games thus far. We're hitting 268 with a 3.93 ERA. I think these two talented pitching staffs lowered those numbers as expected. Break up your Toronto Blue Jays. They beat the best team in the American League to this point, Baltimore, 4 games to 2. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.